Hello to my frugal friends and to all you cheapo looky-loos living a low-cost Vegas life vicariously through yours truly. My name is Burt Cohen. Welcome to the Neon Gutter. On our last episode, we talked about our efforts to recreate the ultimate trip of cheap decades after conquering Las Vegas on $19 a day. But some very bad luck at the roulette tables and some very bad smells on the bus routes threatened to throw us off track as we continued our second night in town. Here to pick up where we left off are the stars of the Neon Gutter, Dan and Matt. Hey, Dan.
Hey, how's it going? I didn't really want to come back to this traumatic episode, but I guess we have to talk about it until it's completely processed. So
We do. And hey, Matt.
Hello, and I did want to come back to it because I truly hope that my misery is your entertainment.
Your misery is my good time.
Exactly.
Definitely is mine. Okay, so one more time for our audience to recap very briefly. We set a budget of ourselves for $39 a day per person for 72 hours, covering hotels, meals, transportation, entertainment, and gambling.
Soup to nuts.
Exactly. And we left off in the middle of nearly a 20-mile journey on foot, starting downtown, and hopefully ending at the South Point around midnight. Now, as we ended the last show, we had been walking virtually all day, but we're just leaving Mandalay Bay to head to South Point, the longest, coldest, darkest, and most desolate part of the entire trip. So how are you guys feeling at this point?
Yeah, this was difficult.
Determined.
Okay.
At that point, it was not about it being fun anymore. It was about, we started this, we have to finish this. Much like when I buy a large pizza for myself.
This was actually the point for me where the pain had actually abated, so I was kind of feeling positive. Maybe around miles 6, 7, 8 is when my feet began to ache. And then maybe around, sort of the bottom of the strip is when my thighs were starting to ache. But for some reason, we left the Mandalay Bay and talked to that kind of pompous, valet. And I was like, I don't feel any pain. I think I'm ready for this. So
I think that sitting down at the Mandalay Bay was a huge mistake because it was very hard to get back up.
You guys went off somewhere in Mandalay Bay, and I actually almost fell asleep in the sports book.
Yeah, well, part of the problem I thought was we could not find the slot club at Mandalay Bay. And so we did a big circle around that entire property like 2 or 3 times, and my legs were feeling it. So I definitely had to sit down after that and have a scotch in the sports book. But once we did get out of Mandalay Bay and
How did you afford a scotch?
You got it as a free drink.
I got a free drink.
There you go. I wanted
from my Vegas.
The listeners to know that there are free drinks available.
Yeah, I think it was like a good scotch too, right? It wasn't even a cheap scotch.
It was Johnny Walker Black on the rocks.
Wow.
Was able to be, and I have a photo of it we can put up on the website. It's a full glass. They didn't cheat me on it at all. It was It was just fine. Like I said in the last episode, I'm not sure that really helped me with the rest of the walk going forward, but
it numbs the pain.
I was not going to. Yeah, it might have. It might have done just that. So anyway, we did end up getting out of Mandalay Bay finally and heading down south. And the first thing I think we kind of noticed was that there's these giant barricades that protect pedestrians from the fast-moving traffic on South Las Vegas Boulevard. But as we passed the Pinball Hall of Fame and we passed the Welcome to Las Vegas signs, those barriers, those protective barriers, immediately stop. Right. And we realized we were kind of on our own, I think, and going into no man's land.
There's no sidewalk either.
Yeah, it's Las Vegas's way of saying you're someone else's problem now.
Kind of true.
Right. We've washed our hands of you.
Yes. Yeah, and there's the sidewalk is sporadic, and it's shocking how little development there is down there. There's nothing for miles.
Once you get past the Las Vegas sign, people are taking pictures there and buses are stopping there, and then it's just empty.
Yeah. Especially on the west side of the street, which is where we did most of the walking. And there is sidewalk for a good part of it, but there are good parts of it where there is no sidewalk. And in fact, there's fences or other brush and other kinds of things that mean you have to walk really close to the traffic.
To the
And
traffic.
It was frankly a little dangerous.
And I think it's worth mentioning there were a couple of memorial markers out there in the dim light and just being lit up by headlights driving by, little crosses marked where people must have been killed roadside.
Well, and people had written on the cross at the marker saying, "Here lies my dumbass friend who tried walking to the South Point."
It's a good memorial. It was eerie. It looked like, it was a little scary. It's like,
those who seek the midnight specials turn back here.
and those are the photos to put online, because I think those are the most dramatic ones.
Yeah, they're dramatic and ominous for sure.
Yeah, and one interesting thing too is that once you're down there, there's not a lot, but what there is just very generic suburb. Chain restaurants, gas stations, any Vegas character, with a couple of minor exceptions, is gone once you get past the leaving Las Vegas sign.
But there are some exceptions, though.
Yes.
That's true.
We did go in and stick our nose into Bootlegger's Bistro, a restaurant on very South Las Vegas Boulevard. I'd never been in there, and I think, Matt, you may have been in there at some point, but it was a place I'd never gone into or had a reason to go to. Yeah. Smelled good. It was looked like a great place, and it was not entirely busy for a Wednesday night, but there were people still dining there late at night. And it's a place I'd go back to at some point. We took a look at the menu, and it looked like a fun place.
But Bootlegger Bistro, it's an Italian restaurant, very clubby feel. Dark,
old school,
lots
old
of
school, clubby.
Old school,
yeah.
Kind of a cool place. They've got some old photos. I think they have like live jazz or live music in there most of the time. A cool place. It would be.
They had a caricature of Guido Sarducci, Father Guido Sarducci, on the wall, which I thought was a great deep cut.
If you were like a 65-year-old man, widower, who's trying to impress a 63-year-old woman, I would take her there.
Keep that in mind for
it's coming up.
Yep.
So as we head out of Bootlegger's Bistro and we continue this very long walk down to South Point, I think notably there was not a whole lot of conversation between us. There was not a whole lot of joking. We just kind of kept our heads down and tried to get through it as soon as we could. It was getting colder. It was getting darker. There were very few other pedestrians for sure that we came across.
And then for this long walk, it was very cold. It was like 33 degrees, so 1 degree above freezing. Yeah. And this is where, there's no other way to say it but to say it, the chafing set in. And this was a problem. Like, if you ever want to walk 20 miles in freezing weather, bring some baby powder. That's all I'm saying.
Or don't wear underwear.
Or don't, you need that. I was actually so tempted. I was going to reach down and scoop up some of that. Or there you go. I was going to scoop up some of that dry dirt, that's by the side of the road from Las Vegas, but I was worried about getting either broken glass or radioactive materials. So
I think it was a little harder. I think it was a little harder on us too, because the ground wasn't level. It wasn't. There was a lot of up and down and adjusting your foot and shifting to because the terrain was rough.
There were gullies and ravines and stones. Sure. Yeah.
Yep.
Last 3 miles, I think it was when my knees started to get really weak and my lower back started to be like, why am I doing this?
Eventually, for a long part of the trip, we could not even see the South Point in the distance.
Right.
But eventually it came around, and but it was very far in the distance, and it took a long time for us to get there. But once we did get there, it really felt like a miracle.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's the best place in the world.
It felt like we had come across a real mirage in the desert or something, but that was a real structure. We had to cross a very large parking lot. That was what I sort of like. Yeah. We got to the corner, and we're here, and then we had to cross the parking lot, which seemed like it was 3 football fields long. Yeah.
It reminds me of the old Vegas when we used to go in the 80s, where you would come around the hill and there was nothing, and then suddenly there was the city. It was like that with South Point. It's like there was nothing. You're in an empty lot, and then there's this massive casino sitting there, surrounded by an enormous parking lot. That's
nicely decorated for the season as well.
Oh, yeah, true.
The holiday season, all lit up. Yeah. So we did make it inside, and we found a table at one of the bars that was nearby the entrance, thankfully, that we didn't have to walk around too much inside. And we just plopped down at the table and watched the live rodeo events with a bunch of other cowboys in the bar. And so that's kind of what we did until it was, getting close to midnight for the breakfast specials that we had.
Yeah. I took off my compression socks too at that point.
You did do that in the bar. You put your feet up on the furniture and took your compression socks off.
I took them off and I held them up and I went, woo!
And it turns out that we weren't the only people there for the midnight special, because at midnight there was quite a line to get into the coffee shop, which is enormous. It is an enormous coffee shop. Probably seats 300 people. But there was a line. We were maybe 30, 40 people deep in the line.
We also weren't the only people walking bow-legged.
Yes, we were.
Everybody kind of walks that way.
That's really true. We are really walking rather funny. And, because we were really sore, especially after we ate and got up from the booth. It was really tough to get up from the table and try and walk out of the casino.
I would estimate it took between 10 and 12 minutes for the three of us from the initiation of getting up to the point that we were actually standing.
That's right. Yep.
Well, what'd you guys think of the specials that we actually had there? I can't say that it was worth the walk.
No,
but
it was worth $5.
It was worth the price. Yes, especially if I had driven there or had arrived in a limousine. Yeah,
I don't know that it was decent. It was did the trick with fries. I ate every morsel on my plate, not because of the quality, but because by that point I was near starving.
I believe I paid $4.45 for a pancake sandwich, which was listed as a fried egg, 2 pancakes, and ham. They didn't tell me that the ham was 1/2 of a slice of lunch meat.
Like sandwich slice.
Like, I just noticed the pancakes were flat together. I was like, well, where's the ham? And I lifted the first pancake, and there was, a thin half slice of ham in between. So, they are not giving you a $15 meal for $4.45.
They ran out in the kitchen, I think is what happened.
Yeah. I think mine was the same. $4.45 was $5 with tax, $5 even. Yeah. And I got eggs and sausage, and I think I passed the sausage off, so I just got
your
toast and eggs and stuff, and potatoes came with that. I think hash browns. Yeah. And so it was certainly decent. And if I was in the South Point, I would take advantage of it, or near the South Point. But I wouldn't walk 7 miles to get it.
There is a bus, so you could do that.
Yes, you could take the bus.
I don't even know if I'd take the bus there, but maybe drive. But by midnight, I'm not in the mood to drive 7 miles south just for a meal. But they deserve kudos for 2 things. One is they have a 24-hour coffee shop, and they do have graveyard specials. And those are 2 things that are very rare.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And they are able to seat so many people, because the restaurant is closed until they open up again at midnight. And so there are people lined up for those specials, and they do a real efficient job of getting people in there, getting orders taken, and serving a lot of people very quickly. As we had to strikes.
We had to pry ourselves out of that booth because we had to catch the bus. That was the thing we were terrified of, is missing the last bus out of the South Point, because then we would have had to walk.
The good news is the bus goes right into the parking lot. So we just walked out the exit, and there's the bus stop in the parking lot, which was
I think we waited in the cold for about 10 minutes rather than missing.
Yeah, we did.
So, yeah.
We did, but it was fine.
Yeah.
And then we transferred to the Deuce over by the town square, and we had a fellow traveler with us who was waiting for the bus for a good 10 minutes or so. An old man who was tweaking on something. I don't know what was going on with him, but he was looked to be about 75 or 80 years old, and he couldn't quite stand straight, and he was laughing quite a bit at nothing in particular.
I think he was laughing at us.
Matt was telling him jokes, but I can tell you for sure he was not laughing at the jokes.
They were pretty good jokes. Some of my best knock-knock jokes, but okay.
So we took the Deuce up north, all the way up to the Strat, and then we walked from there to Dino's Bar, which is a place that we really like a lot. We were not that enthused about it at the time, just because it was late and we had been through so much that day.
I'll cut in. Like the image we had of Dino's, I think we had talked about going to Dino's as a last stop that night. And we were talking about, we'll go in there, we'll start talking to people about having walked 20 miles and we'll have a big laugh with everybody. But the reality was we were zombies at that point. So we didn't even talk to each other. We were just like drinking these PBRs.
Well, and there's a no backpack policy. And we had backpacks. We had no choice. And so we go, we got backpacks. Is that okay? You have to be buzzed into Dino's. It's an old dive bar. It's open 24 hours a day. It's right by the Strat. It's a really cool place.
It's super cool.
But it says no backpacks on the outside, and they buzz you in. And we're like, we have backpacks. And he goes, you got to put them on the stage. So we had to leave our backpacks on the stage. And then there was only one other person in there, I think.
Right.
Yeah, one or two other people besides the bartender. So, it was not what we had envisioned about going in there and having a bar full of people give us kudos for what we had just been through.
And I still had more knock-knock jokes, but nobody to tell them to.
Yeah. And I was not putting up with any more of that shit.
So the one thing for our listeners to note at Dino's is they've got a special promotion with PBR that apparently on the underside of every cap of Pabst Blue Ribbon is a suit from a deck of cards, clubs, diamonds, hearts, spades. And if you can guess the suit of your bottle before they open it, you get the beer for free at Dino's. We crapped out on that and did not. Yes, it's a very cool promotion. A very fun promotion, but we did not. We were not lucky on that particular guessing game. But something you can try if you go into Dino's, and we do recommend it. It's worth seeing. Our other stops at Dino's, it's always been fun for sure.
Yeah, I would go at 11 p.m. on a weekend, and it's going to be packed, and it's going to be a blast. Some very interesting characters.
Tuesday
Old
night,
school,
not so
new
much.
school. Yeah, Tuesday night at 2 a.m. Not so much.
And they're famous for their karaoke too, which I'm not sure what nights they have it, but they're packed for the karaoke nights too.
I only wish.
So after Dino's, we really did kind of drink our beers in silence at 2:30 in the morning, and then we walked
the last 800
walked
feet.
the rest of the way to the Super 8 and crashed there about 3:00 in the morning, where Matt and I just kind of absolutely went into a coma. But Dan was woken up rudely. I don't know how long
had earplugs in, but it was about 20, 30 minutes after laying down. This car zooms through. Now the Super 8 does not have a big lot. It's just an alley with parking spaces. So the cars are right next to the rooms.
Yeah, right up to the door.
And this car just burns up there and like blasting really loud music, like loud pop music. Like blasting it. And then there's this drama unfolding outside of our room where somebody's yelling at somebody on the second floor and they're yelling down and this guy's turning the music on and off like to just make a scene and wake everybody up. And there's more yelling and I'm just like got the pillow over my head. I'm jamming my earplugs all the way into my brain canal. I can't believe you guys did not hear that. I was almost going to open the door. But I didn't want to get involved. But this guy is running around. At some point, he yells, "Well, now everybody's awake," which I guess was
he
not
was
true.
wrong. He was absolutely wrong.
Oh, it should have been like, "Try again." And then I don't know if a cop showed up or somebody else came out of a room, but somebody talked him down, and he started up again at 8 a.m. the next morning. And I guess you guys slept through that too, because it woke me up. He was back screaming for about a half hour. So that was like the worst thing. Good thing I was not, I'm not a violent man, but if I had had a crowbar, I would have jimmied my own head off, honestly.
And like Burt said, we heard none of that. Not
a single thing. No.
I cannot believe
Slept
that.
like a baby.
It was so loud. Oh my God.
We were pretty exhausted.
We were exhausted.
All right. So that's the end of day 2. So why don't we do a little financial recap here and talk about where we all finished up. For me, I ended up day 2 spending with the free play $10.77, which was not too shabby. And without the free play, it was $39 even, right to the penny. Our budget was $39, and that's exactly what I spent for the day, to the penny, $39. How did you guys do?
You spent $39. Wow.
I spent $37.25 without the free play. With the free play, the big free play being winning $15.15 on the Incarnate World over Duke bet.
Correct.
I ended up spending $9.02. So $9.02, not bad.
Not bad. So let's see. I came in. I spent $37.72. So that's all the money out. But with all the free play, I came in under $10. $9.52.
Excellent.
Which I round down to $9.50 because of those pennies. Who cares? But you can't really
good.
count on this trade.
I do.
You count the pennies.
Oh yeah.
Pretty good, right? A whole day in Vegas.
Pretty good.
20-mile walk with a beer at the end for $10.
We did a lot that day. We definitely did a lot that day.
Staying in the Super 8, waking up in the middle of the night, all for $10. This too can be yours.
Riding double-decker buses, eating burritos, eating pancake sandwiches.
It was great.
Yeah.
So we were up late. We got up late the next day, and as we got into day 3 Wednesday, we got some more free coffee at the Super 8, which was nice.
Yeah.
Again, the Bellagio won't give you that. And I think I felt a little better than I expected. I expected to get up and be even more sore than I was going to bed, but I actually felt pretty good getting up the next day. I was definitely sore. But it was not as bad as I expected. What did you guys think?
Actually, I was not as sore as I expected, but I definitely was sore, and I figured that Wednesday we'd walk less. I was just ready to walk less, so I kind of knew that was going to happen. It didn't. Well, we didn't walk 20 miles, but we certainly walked a lot.
We traveled a lot and walked probably more than we wanted to, yeah.
Yeah. And I also was surprised how good my feet and my calves felt the next morning. I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that I just slept uninterrupted all night. Just slept like a baby.
Next time we go to Vegas, watch your back.
I have a feeling Dan's bringing his accordion to Vegas the next time.
Bringing the accordion back.
The first stop on our agenda was to go back to the El Cortez and try and cash out the bets that we had made. The bet that Matt just mentioned, the sportsbook bet with the station sportsbook app that we should have been able to cash out at the El Cortez, and the sportsbook was open that morning. So we go over there, and the employee there's one employee on deck, and they just cannot help us. Like no ability at all to cash out any one of our 3 accounts, which
it was
which
nuts.
Credit
it was
on
so frustrating. Like
And
you invest, and like I as a non-sports bettor, I'm like, this is too good to be true, and it probably isn't, but in this case, it was.
So not only were we out the $45 that we won, we were out the $50 we had invested in the app because we had no way of getting it back.
The whole thing is like you couldn't, they couldn't give it back to us. And then the app itself, you can't, you have to deposit more money to link your bank. And then there's a fee on the money you would deposit. And then my bank wasn't even one of the options. And then Matt reveals like, we have to do this before we leave Vegas. Because if you leave Vegas, you can't withdraw it because it's not legal outside of the state. So
that's right. The app is only valid in Nevada.
So
yeah. And I couldn't use the app at all because they had entered my birth date wrong. And so all the information was incorrect.
Just a slip of the
matching
finger.
It to my bank.
Slip of the finger and you're down $50.
It was really a mess. So while we were in the El Cortez sportsbook, I call the help number, the customer service line for the station bet
and they
app.
sorted everything out like that.
I wish. Unfortunately, that was not the case. They were less than helpful. They kept telling us to, call the payment processor on the app. I'm sure it's a problem with them, and it was clearly not a problem with them.
And they blamed the victim.
So they finally said, we cannot help you at El Cortez. We just can't because we just can't. So you're going to have to go to a station casino to sort this out. Now, for most people, I think in Las Vegas, it wouldn't be that much out of the way if you have a car or something to go to a station's casino.
Easy.
We did not have a car. We were not driving. We were going to have to take public transportation, and there's no station casino that was convenient to us at all. But we still had to do it. So that was added to our list of to-dos, which we are not that excited about.
We cannot help you at this casino where we have big banners everywhere telling you to sign up for this app.
Exactly.
Right. I actually took some of the little placards down and just sort of put them on the floor because I didn't want anyone else to make the same mistake.
It was awful.
And the person we spoke to on the phone was not apologetic or helpful at all.
He had a script,
a total manual of how to blame anybody else but them in terms of trying to get this done. So Anyway,
hate sports
we left the El Cortez. We put on our to-do list later on that we try and get over to Station Casino, probably Palace Station, and we headed over to the D to check on Sigma Derby once more to see if it's up. And it was still down, and it was
still down.
Way down because it was being taken apart by 3 technicians.
This was so fascinating.
It was really fascinating because we got this very close-up look into the machine. On top of the machine, they had the glass taken off the top, and I noticed this guy sitting at a close by table, and I noticed that under his jacket he had some kind of a shirt with a horse logo on it. And to me, he almost looked like he was sort of like maybe owned the company that you know would repair the machine. So I asked him if he was with, the company and he said, no, I'm just a fan. And so we started talking to him, and it's this super fascinating guy named Ski that we were so pleased to meet, and he's just an absolutely crazy Sigma Derby fan, and he comes to the D once a month from out of state just to play Sigma Derby. And Matt, I think you talked to him more than just about any of us, but we all talked to him and got to know him a little bit. Tell us a little bit about Ski and some of the insights he had for us on Sigma Derby.
So Ski, we think we are Sigma Derby fans, but this guy, we are nothing. We are dilettantes. This guy is an expert.
Pikers.
And he's observed, and he's a very observant guy. He's recognized that there are a certain number of different odds combinations that show up on the board. And he can tell you, like, what is going to happen almost, what's going to happen on the track. He can't really, but he has, not, and I wouldn't even say he knows the patterns because he doesn't win at it, and he doesn't expect to win at it.
Right, correct.
He knows it's a sucker's bet, but it's a really fun sucker's bet. And he's just made an art of studying it. It was incredible to talk to him about it.
It was incredible. He knew the staff. He knew all he knew the people who were fixing it. He knew the engineers who were on it by name. Everyone knew him. You're like, this is a guy who comes to visit the Sigma Derby machine and play it. They were bringing him free drinks, just because they were sad that he wasn't getting to play. So he was just drinking martinis and cool dude.
Yeah.
It was really fun to talk with him. We talked with him for almost 2 hours about this and looking underneath and seeing the ventilation and seeing the chips that are in there. And he told us, too, that these things used to be as common as any other machine. And this is, down to only one. This is like the last running one in existence. And the owner, Derek Stevens, is buying them up for parts wherever he can find them.
He's trying anyway. There's one at MGM. I guess that's in storage. And he's been trying to buy that one for parts and has not been able to. So it's
like the end of the era of Sigma Derby was a while ago. And there's like just a few people trying to keep it alive. So it was cool to bump.
Thankfully, Derek Stevens is one of those people.
Yes.
That's the only reason I think it is alive.
Derek Stevens, owner of the D.
Yeah, and it's obviously a labor of love because there's no way he's making money on this with the amount of labor it takes and the amount of parts he has to replace and how often it breaks down.
Right. He had a staff of 3 working all day to fix this thing that's going to get a quarter at a time,
And by the time we left town, it was still not fixed, so they were still working on it. It is the last report we got. It was fixed before the end of the year, but I don't know how long it was down or how long it took to fix. And some of the parts are just totally bespoke and would have to get recreated if they broke. So
it looks like there's bicycle chain in there, but clearly it's not just any old bicycle chain. They look like that. That's what the horses run on, but they're made for the game.
And huge old computer chips and huge old transistors. Unbelievable. Apparently the thing just gets incredibly hot, so they have big fans in there just keeping the whole thing cool.
The transistors like the size of Pringle cans. I mean, they're like, it was a trip.
Amazing. And I would love to talk to Ski more. I would love to have him on the show if he would be willing to, and we've actually reached out to him about that. And I would love to play Sigma Derby with him when
Ski.
The machine is running.
That'd be amazing. Yeah, we didn't get a chance to do it this time. We tried to, but the machine was still not running while we were in town, or Ski was in town, unfortunately, as well. But yeah, in a future trip, we'll definitely try.
That was a highlight, one of the highlights of the trip.
Yeah, if we can record with him, we need to do that before he sees us play Sigma Derby, because he might decide he wants nothing to do with this when he hears how loud we get. Yelling at plastic horses.
If he hears any of Lucky Ned's segments that we do in between the segments, he may get a sense of how we act at the machine.
But it's like the Sigma Derby was down, which was really sad. But this really turned into one of the real silver linings. It's like meeting somebody so interesting and getting to talk to him for a while.
For sure. So after we did end up leaving the D after a couple of hours, we went to the Arts District and we checked out, some of the funky neighborhood, which was fun. And then we had lunch at a place called Tacotarian, which is just veggie tacos. I ordered first, so I just ordered a couple regular price tacos, and then Matt went up behind me and found out they have a 99-cent special on Wednesdays for their Dorado taco that I did not get a chance to save my money on, which really, I'm still upset about it, frankly.
See, you were off your game. You're supposed to go in and say what's free.
Asked. Yeah, I should. What can you
give us for free?
Can you give me for free?
Yeah, and I stumbled upon it by luck. I mean, I ordered 2 tacos and the price came in lower than I thought. And I said, I think that you got the right price wrong. He goes, no, the Dorados are 99 cents on Wednesdays. I'm like, oh, well, give me some more of those then.
And I got nothing but those. It was nice.
Very smart. Very smart.
And pretty tasty. Not bad.
They're small tacos, but they're
really
tasty.
Good.
And for 99 cents, you cannot beat it.
And vegetarian, right? So like if you're into...
Correct.
Vegan, actually.
Vegan, right. Seitan
okay.
and tempeh and those kinds of things, substituting for meat, but super tasty and really spiced well. I mean, kind of stuff you'd find in the Bay Area where, foodie heaven. I thought it was really great.
Salsa is the perfect thing to mask the fact that it's not real meat.
Yeah, there's something to that for sure.
And there's also like fried avocado tacos if you're not even trying to mimic meat or
Yeah.
The Dorado.
Yeah, the fried avocado taco is outstanding. I love those.
Yes, definitely recommend.
Yep.
Definitely recommend. And I think they were, I can't remember which casino we walked through that had a sign up that said that they were opening location up in one of the casinos, but I think it may have been Planet Hollywood in the mall there. I think that they were planning to open one on the Strip. So
I loved the one we went to in the Arts District. It was actually there was a lot of folks in there. It looked like local folks. It just seemed like a really cool local hangout.
I didn't like it because everyone was dressed better than us.
Where did we go where they weren't? Except
for yourself.
The bus station.
Yeah, it's true. I didn't even have one tie, let alone 2.
I had compression socks on.
So next on our agenda was this trip to Palace Station where we were going to try and cash out these bets. Yes, exactly, that we had to kind of put into our schedule. So while we were waiting for the bus, we had some time to wait for the bus to get down there. So we stuck our nose in an antique mall that's over there in the Arts District. And
it's
what
not
did you think of
it?
It wasn't really antiques. It was sort of like Vegas kitschy mall.
It's a garage sale.
It's a garage sale.
Yeah,
there were so many copies
point,
of Playboy from the 70s. A lot of Playboy. Yeah.
People think that their old stuff is worth something just because it's old, and that's what you're going to see at this antique mall. I will say though that the stuffed baboon for $4,000 certainly piqued my interest. Just couldn't get it in the budget, but $4,000 for a stuffed baboon. Imagine the delight my wife would have.
You need to learn how to haggle.
Yeah, it's true. If I could get it down to $18.
That was the other thing is like most antique malls, it was really overpriced. There was no deals to be had there.
Yeah.
Correct. But imagine the delight your spouse would have if you came home with a stuffed baboon.
The stuffed baboon? Come on. Yeah.
It goes perfect with our decor.
And the rest of your stuffed baboons that you've collected in other locations.
Yes.
This is a deep cut, but did you ever listen to Dr. Demento? He had a song on there called 99 Dead Baboons. A send up of 99 Luftballons.
Yeah, now it's 98 because one of them's at the antique mall.
There you 98 Dead Baboons. That's one for the listeners.
Yeah, so it was not that impressive. A lot of old Playboys, a lot of like Hot Wheels, that kind of stuff. So yeah, ashtrays. There was a lot of old stuff from the Hard Rock. So when the Hard Rock closed, a lot of the old photos and stuff.
Someone had bought a lot of the stuff. Yeah. Anyway, so we left the antique mall, got onto our bus when it was time, got to Palace Station, and they were very flummoxed about our situation with the app as well.
On the front door of Palace Station, as you walk in, there were big signs saying, sign up for the station bet. It's a risk-free $50 bet, like easy deposit, easy withdrawals. Like, same thing, advertising on the door as you walk in. And I love watching Burt was pissed. Like Burt had like little flames come off his head. He's like, you were threatening, like, I'm going to call the gaming commission if they don't sort this out. And I'm like, yeah, get Burt going.
I didn't threaten them with that because they were very helpful. The employees,
they actually helped.
They were very confused, but they were did everything that they could to try and solve it for us as quickly as possible.
They
And
were also
it took 3
pissed.
employees an hour, though. Yeah, it did take 3 employees a full hour in order to sort
figure it
this out
out
for us.
Yeah.
And
They
but
were
they
mad
did,
at the El Cortez.
they did what
Yeah.
they had to do, and so I was not mad at those employees at all. In
No.
fact, they were as helpful as they could be. It's just a bad situation, and the corporate office has got some explaining to do.
As you say, I tipped them because they worked so hard on our behalf.
I did not tip them because this should not have been something we had to do in the first place.
But yeah, but they
I know it's
did-
not their fault.
Yeah.
I did not tip them because you tipped them. So I felt like it came from the group.
Good enough. The app, that's when I went on and saw the app had a 1.8 star review, and there was a review that said this makes me miss those shady offshore betting apps. I'm like, okay, kind of does. So yeah, I left it another scathing review. Like,
Yeah, it went down to 1.3, I think, after you were done with it, with your review.
that was how I passed the hour while we were waiting for them to give our money back. I'm like, give me my money back. And then why was this? Matt had a payout of $94 for winning, $94.45 or something, and they
95.45.
and they gave you 95 and didn't give you the change.
I just wanted to cash out. They gave me $95, and so I still have 45 cents in this account that I can't use and never want to use again. It's just sitting there because they just screwed up, because it's all manual.
It's all manual.
It's all manual.
It's all manual, yeah.
Some guy, sportsbook guy, going in a back room and typing into a computer and calling people. It's just nuts.
I will say this, if you're doing a trip like this, you might still want to do it because doing stupid things that require a lot of time and effort more than you normally would is part of
Kind
this
of what
kind
it's
of
all
trip.
about. It's true.
Yeah.
But if you're just looking to have a relaxing vacation, I would maybe steer clear of the stations app until they kind of get the kinks ironed out. Anyway, at the end of it, we did get our money out of the app, and so we were able to clear our profit and our original buy-ins from that app. So it did work out. And then we walked over to Area 15, which is not too far, and had an
cool.
interesting time in the afternoon. You can get a free pass to do a scavenger hunt there. Now, some of the attractions, if you're familiar at all with Area 15, cost a pretty decent amount of money for tickets. But there is a free scavenger hunt that you can reserve ahead of time, and then you get a little thing on your app on your phone once you arrive there, and you go on a scavenger hunt that takes an hour or two, and it was actually a lot of fun. I thought, certainly for something that was free, and you get to explore every nook and cranny of that place and really get to know it, and maybe come back another time when you want to explore some more for a ticket.
A very fun place, very neat. Lots of interesting art from a lot of different artists, very experimental type stuff. And there is a place like Bootlegger's Bistro. When you're 65, you take the 63-year-old woman. Area 15, when you're 27, you take the 25-year-old.
Yeah. It's very hip. It has kind of a Burning Man vibe to it. I thought the puzzle was pretty great. You're looking for clues, kind of really getting to know the visuals.
I thought so too.
And it was an hour well spent, or an hour and change well spent, just looking around that place. If you do have the budget, going into the Meow Wolf part, which is called Omega Mart, can be a huge. It's basically like going to a show. You could spend hours and hours in there looking around. It's really cool art to look around in there, but there's also sort of a puzzle aspect to it and a thing you can actually solve and kind of figure out. And we went there some years ago. My daughter and I actually managed to shut down the Omega Mart, which is one of the little goals you can do. So all the lights go out for a minute and you get this kind of voiceover. But it takes some solving, and you can spend a lot of time in there. We didn't have that in our budget. But there's dance places in there. There's video games. It's a cool.
There's video games and pinball and stuff, and
lots of little
kinds of
eateries.
things, Yep.
And bars.
I love that. I think it's very cool. I like the hip art stuff there.
Yeah, I would definitely.
It's
go
a
back,
fun
for
space
sure.
for sure.
So after we left Area 15, we finished our scavenger hunt and we walked back to the strip.
We walked and walked some more.
We did. Straight. If you stop us if you've heard this before, but we walked to pick up a bus. And we took the Deuce to the South Strip Transit Center, which is a big, kind of nice bus stop on the south end of the airport, where a lot of the bus routes come together. And then we transferred to the 117 as we were heading to Silverton. That's where we're going to have dinner. But I'll tell you, when the bus dropped us off, there was a long walk. It seemed like we were right next to the property, but we had to walk all the way around the Silverton in a very wide berth circle in order to get to the entrance, because they have multiple fences and like moats and stuff that keep you from just crossing over it through the parking lot.
Yeah.
It's very pedestrian unfriendly.
We could have hopped it, and then I was like, it's surely there's going to be a stairway. So we didn't hop it, and then came to regret it.
There never was. Yeah.
There never was.
There was also a point where we came across an angry dog that seemed to be guarding a bag of bagels on the sidewalk. And Dan was thinking about actually eating the bagels. He was that hungry.
There was a
by that
massive
point.
bag of bagels, and we're trying to do this on a budget. You don't overlook free bagels.
And Dan said, I think I can take that dog. And I said, when was the last time you beat a dog in a fight? And he's like, it's been a couple months. And so he backed off.
Luckily, my dog only weighs 15 pounds, so I can take him. I can just roll him over and tickle him.
This was not a friendly dog.
No.
So, yeah, we get inside finally, and we had some coupons from American Casino Guide that we had mentioned before that anybody could use as long as you're signing up new for a players club, and Dan and I were doing that. So we each got $15 in meal credit for signing up for their slot club, although there was some confusion about that. It took a long time.
Oh, God.
But we eventually, we did get our $15 each, and so we had $30 meal credit for the three of us, and so we all had a good meal at their restaurant for just over $5 per person, which was.
And we talked about this last time too. There's a lot of slow uptake on casino employees understanding what the promotions are and giving them to you. But we had to argue with this lady, and she was like, "Oh, this only applies if you're staying here." And we had to keep showing her the coupon and like, "Did you print this out from a computer? It should be online." And then she didn't want to. And like we just had to educate her before she would give it. And this particular person was very resistant to giving us what we had come for. And so that got frustrating, especially having to walk all the way around the Silverton first. It's like, this place is making me mad. It's sort of the opposite of the South Point, which was like that heavenly oasis.
Yeah, but the South Point, my meal was not good. Here, the meal was great. I had the
meal was very good. The meal was very good.
Huge club sandwich that I was just thrilled with. And it was a quality meal that I did not expect on this trip.
That's a good point. I got the Loco Moco, which is, rice with a hamburger patty topped with a teriyaki sauce. And it's a classic surfer's dinner or surfer's breakfast before they go out and surfing because it's so much protein. I couldn't finish it. And I'm trying to finish everything on this trip. So it was a lot of food. It was, very nice.
Yeah, it was a really good meal. And again, with our credit, it was just over $5 per person, tip not included. So it's pretty good.
This is also where the waitress, I was looking at the schnitzel, and this is the first time I think in my life a waitress was like, it's not very good. It looks all dried out. And so she was like, all right, you know better than me. Don't get that.
So while on the trip, we were taking a dinner break. Now on the podcast, we're going to take a quick commercial break. So when we come back, we'll go into detail about the controversy at Silverton that created a huge disagreement and ended up having all three of us actually part ways.
Yes.
And we'll talk.
This was the part of the movie where we're all just like, forget you.
And
it's really coming to a head.
We're only doing this podcast because we're contractually required to. Otherwise, we'd still be going different directions. But anyway.
And we'll also talk about the most shockingly irresponsible expenditure of the entire endeavor.
Yes.
Coming up
That's bullshit.
Right after this.
It's a great feeling to see customers who first came into our bootlegger restaurant as children come in years later with their own children. When my parents opened our family's first restaurant 38 years ago, they did so with a deep belief in the future of this community. Over the years, we've grown with Las Vegas as it's matured into a fabulous resort destination. We feel privileged to be a part of it, and we feel equally privileged to have customers who've grown with us. To us, they're like family.
Hello, you know me. I'm world-famous toy horse handicapper Lucky Ned. I know listeners of the Neon Gutter love Sigma Derby as much as we do, So we're going to bring you the races at your home or wherever you listen to the podcast, no matter where that is. Could be walking a dog or like visiting your auntie or maybe going to the moon. I'm going to give you the odds for the next race, and you can bet as many quarters as you like on the outcome. After the next segment of the podcast, we'll return to give you a live call of the race with all the cataclop excitement you can handle. Now get your pencils ready because I'm going to tell you the odds for the next race. We got Quinella's 1-2. That's listed at 5-1. And we got a 1-3 combo is 23-1. 1-4 is the Sharpie Special, 200-1. 1 quarter, 200 come out. Think about what I'm telling you here, 200-1. All right, let's move on. 1-5 is 11-1. 2-3 is 4-1. 2-4 climbs up to a big 34-1. And 2-5, it's like kissing your sister. Disappointing 2-1. Finally, we got 3-4 paying 160-1. 3-5 is 9-1. And at the end is that 4-5 combination that's 76-1. A lot of long odds in this one. You're going to want to put in all the quarters. Now, the winner in this race should be obvious to you. Are we racing in Russia? Clip-clopping in Kazakhstan? Are we going to wire in Wales? Heck no, this is in the good old US of A, right here in Las Vegas, Nevada. So you bet on the spirit of 76. 76-1. That's the 4-5 combination. 76-1 for United States. When you win, don't forget to send the proper percentage to Uncle Sam and your Uncle Ned, too, for giving you the hot tip. Now, I'll see you again after the next podcast part to give you a live call of the race. I'm Lucky Ned, and you better go with guts. That's my advice.
And we're back, at least for now, because as we finished our meal at Silverton, an argument ensued, a big argument. And Matt, maybe you'd like to give your side of the story on this one.
Because you're wrong.
No, we'll hear the wrong version first.
Burt was wrong. I think you're on my side on this one, Dan. But there was a $5 free slot play if you signed up for text messages from the Silverton. Again, a promotion that
which was also difficult to get.
Yes. Again, the slot club people had no idea what we were talking about. You signed up on this, but you went to their webpage and you pressed something that said confirmed. Then you had to go to the slot club and show them that you had this webpage that said confirmed. And I'm not even sure how they did that. But time was running out. The last bus of the night was leaving the Silverton in like 7 minutes. And there was a line to go redeem this, then go to a slot club kiosk and activate it, and then go put your money through a machine just to get a profit of $3.75. And I wasn't going to risk missing the last bus of the night from way the hell out by the Silverton. And I said, I'm not doing it. I'm just going to go hit the bus. And Burt goes, oh no, we can make it. We can make it. And I think, Dan, you were somewhere in the middle between the two of us. And I'm like, screw it. I'm not missing the bus. If I leave Burt behind, finally.
And so How dare you?
I split. I took off from the building. I got turned around coming out of the building, and I couldn't find the bus stop.
That's right. You're going to miss it anyway for just getting lost.
Yeah. But we could see on the app, here comes this bus. And then the bus disappeared. And then it said, here comes this bus. And they said, oh, no, there's some delay. And it won't be for an hour. But it kept telling us different information. But, Burt, why did you feel like you needed that $3.75 so badly?
And did you do it?
Well, because I felt lucky. And with that... And I felt lucky with the bus and I felt lucky with the free play. And let me tell you, with that $5 free play, I cashed out $11.25. I more than doubled it. Wow. Now on our sheet, we were only able to split $3.75, so we got $1.25 a piece for our budget. But man, I made $11.25 on that, and so I was doing the right thing. I was making the smart play.
You're being really kind of sincere to the spirit of the thing, which is if it exists and we know about it, you're taking advantage of it.
If I missed that last bus and I was going to have to walk 8 miles to get to the next bus stop, it was worth $1.25.
You did it the night before. Why not?
I will sleep in a parking lot overnight for $1.50, or in the bushes beside a parking lot for $1.50, but not for $1.25. That's ridiculous.
Now, see, I found myself in my usual place of middle child and trying to figure out what was going on. So I was like, not sure what to do. And when I turned around, Burt had made a beeline for the casino cage. Matt was already out the front door, and I was like turned around in a loco moco stupor after dinner and just started to wander outside. Didn't know where anyone was, trying to track things, trying to figure out the bus. So for a while we were all kind of in this, that moment of, this is the end of the gang. And
we were completely separated. And when I came out of the casino, I thought I was going to be the last one, because as we were entering the casino area, we figured out where the bus stop was. So I kind of knew where to go back to. But I thought, I was the one who did the free play and was going to be last. And so I was really rushing to get out there. I thought these two guys were going to be waiting for. And so I'm walking towards the bus stop, and I see it across the parking lot, and there's nobody there. And I'm like, did the bus already leave?
That was our prank on you. Our unintentional prank.
It worked. And so I'm making phone calls, and I called Dan, and like, Dan hasn't even gotten out to the parking lot yet. And then Matt's nowhere to be found. I see some other guy walking down the parking lot in the opposite direction. And that ended up being Matt. Like, he was not even walking towards the bus stop.
I walked through I ended up walking through some gravel and bushes, and like finally I got to the road, and I'm like, oh crap, I'm a quarter mile from the stop, but if I just follow the road. So and there was no sidewalk. So I finally got there. Had I known that I just figured you guys were like, that guy's an idiot. We're here at the bus stop. Had I known you didn't realize that, I would have said to you on the phone, I'm on the bus. I'm sorry you missed it.
That would have been perfect. You would have fooled me.
I was too mad, and I was too like frustrated and panicked that, being the one who left first, that I would be the one that missed the bus.
No, it's hilarious. At least you walked through some bushes on the way there, so you could see where you would sleep if you had to.
Right. Yeah, you could scope out the good sleeping spot.
Cozy.
Yeah.
And what made it more confusing, I was looking at the bus app, and it was telling me that the next bus was like in an hour and a half or something.
And then the other bus app was saying it's like 1 minute away.
Yeah.
Right.
It was
right. Which was accurate. So we got to the bus stop just in time. It was ended up perfectly.
Catching the bus was kind of that moment in the movie where we all kind of come together and just sort of like...
We rode the bus in silence, just glaring at each other.
I was.
No, I feel like we were just thankful that we all ended up on the bus. So we were like, okay, we can come back together again. And
guys, you guys have to get along.
Yeah. So we ended up taking that bus back to the South Strip Transit Center, as I mentioned before, and then from there we took another long bus trip back south to the M, and there was a reason we went to M.
The M is even farther south than the South Point.
It's way
much
out
farther.
there, and very nice too, by the way. I think
it's
the M is
very
nice hotel. Very nice hotel. Yeah.
So that's Henderson too, I guess.
Yeah, we had no right to be in a place that nice, but we were there.
That's not true.
But there was a reason we were going there. So Matt, why don't you tell us a little bit about why we decided to go so far out of our way to go to M?
Because we had $240 in free play that we got that we got simply by depositing $10 in a sports betting app and linking it to a Penn Play account, which is what the M Slot Club is. So we got like 10 or 50. You guys got $15. I got $10 for signing up for Penn Play, and then we deposited $10 in this other app. And Burt and I did it correctly, and each got $100 credit for M. Dan.
I tried to do it on my phone.
Yeah.
And
it was confusing. Again, it was confusing.
It definitely was. Yeah, there's a lot of bugs in that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I couldn't sign up on the app, but I was able to use the promo code on the website. Burt was able to use the promo code on the app, and Dan wasn't able to use it. So very weird. But anyway, between the three of us, you guys got 15, and I got 10, then Burt, you and I got $240 in free play.
Free play.
Or
better than match play.
That $240 could be used for $480 in food credit.
That's right. You could double that amount for food credit at the restaurant, which would have been quite the feat.
That would have been so cool.
Yeah. Waiter,
but we used it for free
snails.
Play. We used it for free play, and it could only be used at tables. So this was just a table game thing. Right. And we made a decision that we thought it was kind of too much that we could comfortably stew pack this stuff, because the way it kind of, you have to print out these tickets from a kiosk in the casino, and they're very obvious. And so we just didn't feel comfortable stew packing that much, so we just played it straight at the blackjack table.
Well, also they weren't match plays. We didn't have to put any money out.
Oh, I'm
That's
sorry.
what I'm
yes,
saying,
they were not.
yeah.
They were not match play.
They
money.
counted as like you just had to put these chits
Right.
out, and they played as money.
They play
Correct.
as money,
Correct.
which was so cool.
Yeah.
Which was great. And so we ended up walking away with $152.50 out of our $240 of free play, or over $50 per person. That was a
Profit.
big win and a big profit for our bottom line. For sure.
And a big help too, considering that we had lost the match plays, $50 match plays on roulette. This
The
was
roulette from a
kinda
couple
bringing
days
us
ago,
back
right?
up.
Yeah.
Yep.
But what was
Yep.
this? This
Helps.
was 11 o'clock or so in the evening. It was getting late, and it had been a long day. So we walked 10 miles, 12 miles, not the 20, but we still walked.
it was about
There's still a lot of
9.
walking that
It was
day.
like
Yeah,
9
because-
miles that day, 9.5. Yep.
Getting from the bus to Palace Station, getting from the bus to Silverton, getting from the bus to M was a walk too. So to all those three places, even though the bus got you kind of close, you still had to walk a decent
Yeah,
amount.
it was
back.
like it was 9.5 miles basically. Yeah, I was keeping track on my little health app, the app you can trust.
Because it's so far south that we had to take another bus from there, which again picked up right outside the casino, to the South Station, and then the South Strip Station, and then from the South Strip Station had to take the Deuce up. And some guy stared at me on the bus, and me wearing my Poker Palace jacket, and goes, "Is that place still open?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we didn't get there this trip, but
yeah. It's
Next
more
time-
than open."
next time we'll walk out to the Poker Palace.
Yeah.
So we got off at the Luxor, which was where we were spending the next night. I had
Swank.
a comp for the room at Luxor through My Vegas. So this was our third hotel night, and we got it as a comp. We just had to pay the resort fee, which was pretty good. It was $13.98 per person. We got a nice first floor tower room, which was
a
also
nice
quite
room.
nice. It was nicer
Yes.
than I thought.
Yeah.
Free coffee, but it was a nice room.
Right. The casino's a little boring, I think, but Dan, you've been saying that it smells like Nathan's hot dogs, and I did not detect a
I
whole
think
lot of Nathan's hot dogs.
we were there in
smell.
summer, and it stank like Nathan's hot dogs, and maybe the winter weather kind of settled the stench. It was actually not bad.
That could be.
Well, I mean, from what I've heard and from what I've read in the hieroglyphs, all of ancient Egypt smelled like Nathan's hot dogs.
Oh, I see. They do it
So,
for authenticity.
yeah, yes.
Okay. It's all theme.
So we didn't do much at the Luxor. Like Matt said, it was getting late, but I did also have some free play through My Vegas there, and I played some video poker. There's very little video poker in Luxor. We had to really search to find
God.
any machines, but we did find some, and so that's what we chose to play. And we exceeded our budget on that, so that was worthwhile.
Yeah, it was like kind of
was
a
great.
BP barrio, way off in a corner. All these
really
old
was, yes.
machines.
They were
And-
old, yes.
Yeah,
Right.
and no cocktail service over there. I think you finally got a drink after maybe a half hour or so, but boy,
Actually, we were right by the
Yes.
place where the cocktail waitresses go in to get the drinks, but they don't go in and out very often.
and
When they
don't
did,
stop there.
we were able to get a cocktail, but it did take a while.
Yeah.
Wasn't the fun.
Yeah, and I was supposed to also have My Vegas free play there, but you're limited to 3. They call them premium or whatever. They're good prizes within a 90-day period or some period. And I had 2 batch plays, and I had a comp room with the Excalibur, which I canceled. But apparently, because I canceled it with the Excalibur instead of through the app, it still counted toward my premiums, and so I couldn't redeem my Luxor free play. So there's another $6.25 each that I did not give you. Sorry.
Actually, as we're finishing up the trip here, it was kind of remarkable how well we did on all the free play.
Oh, yeah.
It's really true.
We met or exceeded our budget for what we thought we'd walk away with on all the free play. It was just on the roulette that match play where we really hit a snag in terms of luck for sure.
Yeah, our bottom line for the free slot play is we assumed 75% payout, and I think in every single case we exceeded that. In many cases, 100%.
Yep.
So overall, we had over 100% payout on video poker in reality, but we only recorded 75% because that's what the average person should expect.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you
And
should
we're
expect
like
more than that.
25% better than average.
Speak for yourself. So that ends up our day 3. So at the end of Wednesday night, I actually made $25.78 with that big haul from the M.
Yes.
I was up
Right.
$25.78. Without free play, I spent $32.55. So I was well under budget, the $39 budget. But yeah, actually I was in the black, $25.78 on that third day. How did you guys do?
I spent $32.54. Factor in the free play, and I was in the black. Pure profit, $26.87.
Wow. Well, I spent only 3 cents more than you, $32.57 out of pocket. And with the free play, I actually made $25.76. So, yeah.
Pretty good.
That paid for my day before, and yeah, I'm very happy about that.
Yeah.
That was a great day, honestly, except
Great
for
day.
all that, messing around with Palace Station and trying to get the bets back. But we stayed at a nice room at Luxor. We had a great
Yeah.
meal at Silverton. We had a lot of fun over at Area 15, and we made money during the day. It's kind of
We actually
great.
made money.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that night out in the hall of the Luxor, I created some drama and started yelling
Yes,
at
you
these
did.
guys through the door and blasting music. They slept through
And
it.
I said, now everyone's awake. Nice
Now
job,
everyone's
Daniel.
awake.
So our final day was just going to be sort of a half day before we left town, and we started by walking over to Planet Hollywood where we were going to get breakfast. What did you guys think of the breakfast plan once we got over to the mall at Planet Hollywood?
Well, our original plan was to eat at a taco place, which was $6.99. But right across from in the mall was a place saying, "Oh no, we have breakfast for $5.99." A place called Blondie's.
Blondie's
It was the same if you got a Bloody Mary, but the Bloody Mary at either place did not look good. So we got the cheaper breakfast option at Blondie's without the Bloody Mary, and I think that was the right way to go. Yeah, it was $6.75 with tax.
Yep.
It was good.
And
It was
you got
basic
eggs
breakfast.
and hash browns. Yeah, pretty basic breakfast. And a good bargain, to get a decent meal, unless you did something extremely foolish.
Oh my God.
I don't know what you guys
and
are
that's
talking
what
about.
That's what Dan did. Dan,
Let's
why
rewind
don't you-
here. Let's rewind here to pointing out Dan saying, "Yeah, there was no free coffee at Luxor."
There's no free coffee at Luxor.
Yes.
So,
That's
look,
true.
as somebody
That
who's
is
a
true.
habituated coffee drinker for decades, like I could have not ordered a coffee there, but then I would have had to spring for a bottle of ibuprofen later in the day. So I got a coffee. It was a bottomless order. It was freshly brewed. It had half and half.
Did you even consider the price before you
I
ordered this
asked
coffee?
the waitress what it was. She said,
And what did she tell you?
$5 for a cup of coffee.
$5.99.
$5.99, $6 for a cup of coffee, which is expensive. I don't know why people charge that for coffee, but no way I wasn't going to get that coffee. So I ordered a coffee.
All of your hard work for 3 days
Yeah.
just went down the drain.
Yeah.
Now wait a minute.
I had
We
not
haven't
spent more than $6 on a meal this trip. And all of a sudden, Dan's spending
That's
on
right.
a goddamn cup of coffee.
That's right. Sometimes you need to splurge to know why you're saving, and that's why I'm saving. Look, this is the truth. We argued about what the price was. We said $39 a day, and all three of us crushed that. We crushed it. And so you guys went with the aesthetic approach. I get it. Rigid, take care of everything, be really strict and austere with yourselves. I'm doing it my way. I did it my way and still crushed it. And to me, that's the end of the story. And incidentally, I think my way is more normal than you guys.
No.
It definitely is more normal.
It took every bone in my body, every fiber of my being, to limit my berating of Dan to 15 to 20 minutes after he ordered that cup of coffee.
Yeah, that's all you. You can take your judgment over the corner and spin with it. I crushed the goal. I'm proud.
I thought Matt was going to knock the cup of coffee right out of your hand.
He could have, because I had free refills. So next time I spilled, could you bring some more?
It was a little shocking, actually.
Yes.
If I had known then what I know now, I would not have gotten the coffee. I would have gotten a double cappuccino at twice the price.
Oh my God.
I would have. Yeah.
I am never
I
going
crushed
to
it.
Blondie's.
I crushed it.
I'm never going to Blondie's with you again.
Actually, not to give it away, but I see the bottom line. I couldn't have afforded more than that cup of coffee. But I still crushed it. That's the whole point. Set a goal, beat the goal. You guys were moving the goalposts. You were trying to go for coming out in the black, but
Yep.
I was sticking with our original the extra dollar that I fought for to make it 39 instead of 38, fought for it, got it. That's my goal.
That's a really good point, though. Is being cheap is addictive, because it's always like, I can be a little cheaper. I can be a little cheaper.
Yes.
And Burt and I were both being like, we can be cheaper. We can be cheaper. And you were like, oh, I've saved some money. I can splurge.
I was being addicted to something else, which is coffee.
But I look at this now. I'm like, we could do it for less. I could do this cheaper.
You can.
Yeah, I mean, if we really needed to break our record, we probably could.
If we just walked another 15 to 20 miles.
Yeah, I have to give you the totals in a little while as far as walking goes, but I'll wait with that.
Okay, cool. So after breakfast and after Matt picked his jaw up off the floor with that coffee order,
coffee was so good.
We headed out to the Deuce and we took it south to the Pinball Hall of Fame, which is one of our favorite places in town at any price. But it's a good place to kill some time and spend just a few quarters, which is what we did. What did you guys spend most of your time and or quarters?
I think I spent maybe $2. The nice thing about that is they fix a lot of them and they will just click free credits on there, so you can find free credits all over the place. My favorite pinball is called Medieval Madness. It costs 75 cents, but I can play it for a long time. So I did that.
Yeah, there was a game that I played that, a lot of the machines sometimes get jammed. And so I lost a couple quarters in one, and I told the employees are very nice. This happens to them all during the day. And so the guy came over and he was looking to fix it. And while he was trying to fix it, he ended up sort of accidentally putting like a ton of credits on the machine. And so he's like, well, go ahead, knock yourself out. Now. So then I told you guys about it. Yeah. So we all got a bunch of free play on that. And
if you're really trying to do it on the cheap, you could probably just pretend to have lost a quarter.
Yeah, or knock a kid over and take some of his bucket.
Totally.
Yeah,
that works. That
cool
works
place.
Very well. You got to kind of keep an eye on where their parents are, but it works very well. I played a lot of baseball themed pinball. I loved those as a kid, especially ones where you get to swing a bat and hit a pinball.
Love that.
I played Bonsai Run, which is a great motocross themed one with an additional pinball board in the back glass. And then I played a lot of like Galaga and games where there were just free credits. So I ended up only spending $1, but we were there for 45 minutes or so, and had a great time.
We were there for almost an hour. Sure.
And Burt, you played the South Park, didn't you? That's your machine.
I did not play South Park on this time. I played a Star Wars one, and then I played Frank Thomas, the Big Hurt machine, which I don't think I'd played before, but it was actually quite a fun machine. I really enjoyed playing the Big Hurt one. So I forgot that I also played My Dinner with Andre.
That was such a good pinball machine.
Which one?
There's My Dinner with Andre pinball. The ball kind of just sits there you get multi-ball.
So after pinball, we took the Deuce back north, and as we were waiting for that at the Welcome to Las Vegas sign, there was a big crowd of people taking pictures as usual, and there was an Elvis impersonator doing a wedding with a very old couple, which was cool. Adorable to watch. Yeah,
that's where you take your 74-year-old date when you're 75 to get married. Out by them.
That's after you've wooed them at the Bootlegger Bistro, and it's time to get married. And I got some video of that too. I got some video of the Elvis doing his thing for the married couple, so we can post that to the website.
You have to be about in your 70s to appreciate an Elvis impersonator, and also to have forgotten what Elvis really looked like at that point.
Because that guy did sounded like.
Exactly.
So we ended up getting off the bus at Flamingo so we could transfer and head east. And as we were waiting for the bus, some cowboys were just walking by, and they said, "You guys look like you could use some beer." And so they handed us a couple of Miller High Lifes, and we were very appreciative. But
it would have been insulting.
We got handed some open beers.
It would have been insulting, but they actually had the beer.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
It would have been insulting, except that we did look like we could use some beer.
It was good. We had to slam it because the bus was coming. You can't take an open beer on the bus.
You cannot take an open beer on the bus. Not
got
even
a nice
in Las
little
Vegas,
buzz.
you cannot do that.
You can throw up on the bus, but you can't take an open beer on the bus.
You have to drink it and then throw up on it. Yeah.
So we got on that bus, headed east, and we were going to Silver Sevens, which is the old Terribles, the old Continental, and we were going to try and get some free play there, but it did not work out for any of us, and was kind of a depressing casino, frankly.
Yeah, I'd say the old Terribles.
It's not a place I'd go back to.
Yeah, I'd say the old Terribles is the new Terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, silver sevens was not too inviting. And so we had one last ditch effort to try and eke out some free play before we left town, and
we
decided
walked,
to go over to the Virgin Hotel.
Yeah, walked over.
So the Virgin Hotel is what used to be the Hard Rock, and Matt and I were not able to get free play there because they already had our accounts from the Hard Rock. But Dan was able to.
I did
but
get free play.
When they were looking up our old accounts, they made fun of our old pictures, including Matt.
Yeah, they had our pictures from our driver's license. So she goes, "Oh, you've been in here for a long time." I said, "Yeah." She goes, "So long you had hair." It's like, well, I still have the hair. It's in a bag back in my house, but she was really funny.
She was funny. Yeah, she was giving you sass.
Yeah.
I made forget something like $18 or $19. I should look at the
you did
spreadsheet,
all right.
but I did pretty good on the free play.
$16 I have on the
There
list.
you go.
Yeah, $16, and
Yep, there it
of
is.
course with my coaching, my video poker coaching, got you to that $16
Need that.
win, right? And so we ended up with a little free play, and actually a group photograph. They've got a little photo booth that you can take a photograph in, and before we left the hotel, and so that's where we said our goodbyes to Dan. We kind of split up from there, and Matt and I had an earlier flight out of town, so we headed right to the airport.
And
Took
I
the
was
bus
like,
there.
Finally, I can have a vacation.
Yeah, exactly. How much coffee did you have after we
right
left
back.
you?
Put my mouth under the spigot and just turned it on.
He went back to Blondie's to ask if his bottomless cup was still valid.
I left it here somewhere. Could you find my cup?
So Matt and I ended up relaxing at one of the lounges while we waited for our flight, and I flew back in first class. I had a very nice meal with a glass of wine and everything, something I did not have while I was with you clowns. So
Nice.
I got to travel back in style. But how was everybody else's return home?
Uneventful. The first time I've ever looked
Good.
forward to going to the airport to eat in my life was that. Because once we hit the airport, the contest, the challenge was over, and you could
The
spend
clock
money.
was off. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clock was off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a few more hours in the city, but my trip was just beginning. I won't go into it all, but I was not going home. I was seeing my folks in Orange County and then going to Pasadena for a while. I was on an odyssey. So I started the rest of my trip exhausted.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Got the hell out of Dodge.
Well, while we were waiting in the lounge, Burt and I watched some women's college. I think it was, I forget who it was playing Notre Dame. I think
Notre
Connecticut.
Dame and
University of
something like
Connecticut,
that, yeah.
Notre Dame, and I was certain University of Connecticut's a class operation. Notre Dame, well,
It's pronounced
that's
Notre
bargain
Dame.
bin. It's bargain bin basketball. So I bet him that Connecticut would beat the spread, and because we were no longer on our budget, we could bet whatever we wanted. So we bet $1.
We bet up to a full $1. That's
Yeah.
right. Off
Wow.
the spreadsheet. Yep.
I had to leave before that bet was over to go catch my plane, and I found out later that indeed Notre Dame beat the spread, and I owed Burt $1. But I was a little chafed about that. I feel somehow I got ripped off, so I gave him 99 cents. I sent him 99 cents in Venmo.
He sent me 99 cents with the note. This is all you deserved.
You have a penny in credit still that you'll never use.
You know what?
He,
About
he
2
sent
weeks
it later. He
I
sent
felt
it later.
guilty.
Yeah, it did take 2 weeks for him to get over.
I don't like losing.
All right, guys. Well, it's time for one more break. But when we return, we'll recap the bottom line for the whole trip, and we'll see if we got in under budget, and we'll talk about whether there's any further Vegas adventures that we're planning for later this year, and how our listeners could join in on the madness. That would be a lot of fun. Hopefully
That would be
happens.
so fun.
Yeah,
Gotta
we'll
do
be right
it.
back.
It is I, Jonathan Carter. The pyramid is filled with ancient artifacts. I find them merely an afterthought. For the moment, I spend hour upon hour watching the rituals of Blue Man Group, a most entertaining inhabitant of the pyramid. Afterwards, I will visit one of 7 dining chambers. It is the nourishment of the pharaohs that gives me strength to continue my exploration.
Luxor, Las Vegas. Discover its secrets by calling 1-800-288-1000.
And now it's time for the Neon Gutters Sigma Derby Race of the Week.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're playing at the D. It's late at night. We're all kind of drunk. Everybody's screaming at the table. It's crazy. I got 2-3. Oh my God, Burt has done the fail-proof reason. He's chosen every single one. Matt has wussed out and only taken the favorite. But also 2-3. 2-3 is the best. Here they go. 2-3. From the start, they're out in front. Come on, baby. And then you have 1-3 going. 2-3. And all the other horses are blowing up on the spot. You don't, I know, round the far turn. They're holding it. Come on, pull the pole. Wire to wire goes to 2-3. Nobody else can catch him. 5's coming up fast on the outside. It's a little depressing to see what might happen. Wire to wire, 2-3. Nobody can catch him. They're not going to do it. All the way. There's a 2-3. Oh, yes. 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 I've won $1. I've won $1.
Give me my quarters.
Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you won $1 too. I'm sweaty. Folks, I'm going to hit the bathroom. Good night.
Hey, it's Lucky Ned again. Did you win on that race? I know I did. If you didn't, you should try to be luckier. The more you win, the luckier you are. It's a very simple mathematical formula, but not everyone understands it. Now, if you want to get more highly advanced advice on betting the toy equines, you can go to neongutter.com and download my Sigma Derby in-credit system at no cost to you. But boy, is it going to pay off. And we're going to have more Sigma Derby action for you on the next episode, so tune in. And now back to the show.
Okay, guys, it is the moment of truth back here in the Neon Gutter. We put a lot of work and a lot of shoe leather into trying to pull off this challenge.
Yeah, and before we even get to that total, I should tell you the other bottom line is the walking amount.
Yes. Yeah, give us the mileage.
So I clocked 92,350 steps over those 72 hours, or 41.72 miles.
Does that include the 2 hours that you jumped rope?
No, that was in place, so it doesn't count those as steps.
Or when you were running around the Sigma Derby track as if you were one of the horses.
It counts that. It does count
I'm number 4. I'm number 4.
But think about that. Oh, it's definitely more than a marathon, but over 3 days. But that's about as fast as I would run.
92,000 steps, how many miles?
41 3/4 of a mile.
In 72 hours.
In 72 hours. This is what happens when you're on the cheap.
Amazing.
I'm kind of feeling good shape, too. No, one other thing is, I got so much spam. You guys signed me up for all these free things. I'm getting tons and tons of spam now.
You're supposed to create a different email address for all that kind of crap.
Okay, now get to your bottom line.
No, but that brings up a good point. We came back, and the Rio... we just signed up for their slot club, got $8 in free play. And when we got back, they offered us 4 free nights, including weekends. And so we booked our next trip for free at the Rio.
Yeah, try that out. We can't promise that you'll get the same deal, but we got that just for signing up. We spent none of our own money there except a little bit at the Kiss Mini Golf, sort of.
And the Rio is swanky in 1992.
But yeah, 4 free nights, including weekends. You only had to pay the resort fees, so that's what we're doing. Similar to the My Vegas promotions, and that's going to work out fine. Speaking of resort fees, I'll also mention before we get to the bottom line here, has just been a law getting rid of junk fees that includes resort fees. So that's supposed to take place in March, or go into effect in March. We'll see if that's held up by the new administration and so forth, and the new Congress. But for right now, it looks like resort fees may be going away by March. So we'll see how that affects hotel rates and everything else going forward. So it's going to be an interesting year in terms of that kind of stuff.
Do you think they'll take away our free local calls?
There would be riots, I think, if that happened. At least by you. I know one guy that would riot. Anyway.
Yes. Yeah, because that's the main feature that they give you for that extra $42 in resort fee. Or maybe they're going to take out all the swimming pools and fitness centers because they can't afford those anymore without the resort fee.
Right. All right, so we've been teasing this for 2 episodes now. Let's get down to the bottom line. For me,
brass tacks.
My bottom line with free play for 72 hours in Las Vegas, 3 days, I spent $5.08 out of
For
pocket.
3 days.
For 3 days. Without free play, it was a 109.56 or 36.52 a day. So even without the free play, I was pretty well under $39 a day. Dan, how did you do?
Yeah, I spent, including coffee, $11.48 for 3 days, 72 hours, $11.48 out of pocket. And if you don't count the free play, I was at $115.95, which is $38.65 per day. Significant, because if we had stuck with that ridiculous total of $38 per day, I would have failed. Right. But as
now
it is going up to $39,
your master plan.
You see it.
Master plan.
Now I can say I crushed
it. With that cup of coffee, you needed every single penny to get
the skin of my teeth, but I made it.
And Matt,
yes.
How did you do?
You know what?
You were the big winner.
Including free play, 72 hours in Vegas, 74 cents. So slightly under 25 cents per day, just like our original website, Las Vegas on 25 cents a day. We did it.
That's right. You did it.
Exactly.
That's right.
And just over a penny an hour.
Yes.
If you think of that.
Yes. They fed me. They transported me around.
Yes.
They let me sleep. I crapped in so many toilets, all for just over a penny an hour.
Played Kiss mini golf.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally
Pinball.
did the Area 51.
Without the free play, I spent $107.29 or $35.76 per day. So well under my $39. I would not have gotten a cup of coffee with the savings, though.
And I'm glad you put this, like Matt does take the reward for being the biggest tipper. Matt is a very generous tipper throughout
he got a lot of flack from the $19 a day podcast where we really criticized his tipping, and that changed the way we handled tipping for this trip. But Matt was definitely off the books. He was the most generous tipper of the three of us. By a long shot.
But let's note that the competition wasn't very fierce.
That's true.
Well, you tipped Station Casino, which I just think is like.
Look, those people have hard jobs, and we encountered so many friendly and so many helpful people, and so many people who didn't say, "You guys are idiots." They're like, "Oh, okay, let's see how we can help you."
That's true.
It was great.
It's true. It's really true. It was great, and we all stayed, like I said, under $39 a day without any free play. It can be done. You can do it too.
Yep,
can be done
even without any free play, and with a little more luck at roulette. Frankly, we would have easily been in the black for the trip.
Easily,
yeah, way in the
without
black.
that 0 and 00. Yeah.
All right. So speaking of that, what sort of possible future challenges?
What do you mean future
Las Vegas
challenges?
hold for us? Well.
The hell?
Okay, well, this is one that Burt, you should talk about the first one that you've mentioned to me, and that's the Las Vegas Advisor trip.
Yeah, I thought, on this trip, kind of notably, we did not use Las Vegas Advisor at all, and they're probably the most famous distributor of match play and coupon kind of stuff. They release a coupon book every year, and as we record this podcast, they have not released the coupon list for 2025 yet, so we don't know what that would be. But I did propose that maybe we would do a trip that was just strictly using Las Vegas Advisor coupons. They have coupons for food, they have coupons for gambling, including match play and free play. They have coupons for hotels and stuff. So I doubt we could do it quite as cheap if we just used Las Vegas Advisor coupons. But we could try it and see what we could do with it.
Yeah, and I think the trick is not to buy a subscription to the Las Vegas Advisor, but to wait till later in the year when people are selling their unused coupons on eBay for cheap, and maybe paying $20 for 90% of one of the Las Vegas Advisor coupon books.
Yeah, we did consider that for this past trip because as you get near the end of the year, November, December, people start to sell unused coupons out of the book, or a book with unused coupons for quite a big discount as opposed to the $50+ it takes to buy the book. Another possible trip that we've talked about is spending 24 hours in Poker Palace. Matt, maybe you want to talk about that a little bit. And Dan, you might want to talk about how you will never be caught dead doing that.
I don't know. Now I've learned new things about my ability to tolerate hardship, so...
Poker Palace is my favorite casino. $3 blackjack, the wildest, most insane poker tournament in Las Vegas. And they really they call it Poker Palace, but all they really have is a couple of poker tournaments on the weekend. And it brings the locals $25, and it is nuts. There are people playing Candy Crush during the game. There are arguments, there are fights. We're the only people there that don't know each other. What's that?
Well, I didn't play it that much.
I know, but you had to show me every time you cleared a level, so it got a little annoying.
Yeah, everybody. That's true. Everybody knows each other at the table.
Yes, except for us. And so every time we're there,
Except
they say,
us, yeah.
"How did you get? Why are you here?"
Well, they also asked that because at the last tournament I showed up in a white tuxedo to play the tournament. So they're like, "Why are you here?"
And you and CB Fine Print were the first people to order strawberry daiquiris there in approximately 30 years. Their strawberry daiquiris are the color of a dirty bandage, by the way, for anyone that would.
Yeah, they look like they'd been sitting around for 30 years.
So anyways, it's a great place. It's the closest that exists to like the Western at this point in Las Vegas. And I think it'd be very fun to spend 24 hours there. There's no hotel. Get there very early in the morning, have breakfast there, play caveman keno, wait till the blackjack tables open in the afternoon, play a little blackjack, play a poker tournament, have some gumbo at a very good little oyster bar they have there, surprisingly.
Yeah, it's underrated. And they've got a sports book. You can watch
They've got a sports book, watch some sports
there. Yep.
And see if you can spend 24 hours without leaving that casino. I would like to do that. And I would love to document that and the people that
would
we
be
meet.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the one caveat is there is no budget limit. I'm going to actually spend probably $1,000 to make sure that I'm
I don't think that's possible.
That's Yeah, that's really impossible.
I'll bribe the security guard to let me have a pillow. It's like,
unless you're found liable for someone's injuries, I don't think you can spend $1,000.
It could be tricky.
Poker Palace.
Yeah. So I would love to do that. That's on my books.
Yeah, and just today, before we started recording the podcast, I learned that there is a world record, a Guinness World Record for most casinos gambled in a 24-hour period. And so I think we might have to do a little more research in that before we made a serious run at it. But
inhuman.
Especially since Guinness requires that to be done with public transportation. And so after this trip, I feel like we've got a little bit of an edge on some other people. Yeah, in terms of getting around the valley on public transportation. So that's something we'll listen to or look into for sure.
We would literally have to run from casino to casino, though, like on the strip, because you can't catch the bus. You'd have to run from casino to casino.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You have to cover like 3 casinos an hour or something like that.
Yeah, in another era, I did a trip where, like, instead of a bar crawl, we did a race book crawl, and so we picked one track and we bet the first race at one casino, and then once we cashed out or didn't cash out, once the race was over, we ran to the next casino to bet the second race, and then we kept doing this, throughout the day. So it's a similar kind of thing that I think we'd have to do for this kind of if we were really trying to break a world record.
Yeah, and we'd have to have a strategy among the three of us or whatever the group is. Maybe
there would have to be a huge strategy. Yeah,
like getting in and like one person redeeming all the chits and we'd have to figure out what is the most efficient way to do every casino.
And then we've also talked about bringing the soirees back. We've talked about soirees a lot on the podcast from back in the Big Empire and the Cheapo Vegas days.
Bring back the soiree.
We'd love to bring back a soiree this year to have some of you listeners come meet us, and we'd love to meet you guys out at some place. Where do you guys think would be a good place to host a soiree these days? The D?
Well, we could have the Sigma Derby, I think
also Elko. Elko's got some really cool little spaces up there.
Yeah. Sure.
El Cortez could be fun.
I brought up the Aztec.
Yeah,
I brought up the Aztec as a place because that's the kind of place that would not expect us to show up. Like the old days when we'd go on the Gold Spike, they did not expect our group to be
that
there.
Gets the original flavor. Like, what are these people doing here?
We could have a genuine penny slot tournament at the Aztec Casino.
Yeah.
The Aztec would be great. Dino's would be a good place to kick it off.
Dino's would be a blast.
Dino's pretty good.
But I think this is getting to the idea it has to be a roving soiree. That was one of the things that made it so fun, is going place to place for the different aspects. The shrimp cocktail contest, the ice cream social, the penny slots.
And I always thought of it not as roving but rolling, because it's kind of like the snowball that rolled, and sometimes we just picked up people as we went, and we had people just join us and go, "Where are you going next?" But yeah, Poker Palace would be another good one. It would actually be great to see if they would host a poker tournament for us as part of the soiree.
We
That would
could
be
totally
awesome.
do that. Yeah, that would.
I said
that would be
Leroy's,
great.
but I
Bring
meant
back the
Jerry-
solar system. Yeah.
Jerry's Nugget is a good one too.
Jerry's Nugget would be good.
Sure. Well, so listeners, if you would like to maybe be part of this, if you want to be sort of on the list where we'll tell you in advance as we get into the early stages of planning something like that, do call us on our stink line, 775-400-2941, or check out our website and email us there. We'll make sure that you are the first people to know before the soiree gets
And again,
announced.
that number, 775-400-2941. Call and let me know that you agree that it was worth it for me to buy coffee.
It was not. But if you call that number, which is 775-400-2941, and leave your physical address, we will send you a Neon Gutter sticker and a $100 entry into the Bob Stupak's Vegas World Slot Tournament.
Awesome. I'm still waiting for my entry into the slot tournament. It has not arrived yet.
No, it has not, and it won't. But anyway.
All right, guys, that's it for now. What a trip! I'll remember this for a long time, and I'm thrilled that you guys and honored that you guys would allow me to tag.
It was a treat
tag along
what
with the trip. It was a lot of fun.
It's definitely fun in retrospect.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm glad it was you two guys. It was a great time.
Oh man, it was a blast.
Same.
It was a blast being with you guys.
Same. All right, so that's it for now. But on our next episode, we'll talk about the originators, as Matt mentioned, of Vegas on 25 cents a day. What was billed then as the world's only website, the Big Empire. So whether you're a longtime fan of the site or you've never visited, this is an episode you are not going to want to miss. So until then, thanks for joining us down here in the Neon Gutter. We'll see you next time.
The cash won't last through these acts.
Neon Gutters, a Big Empire production. Randy Shandis, executive producer. Our incredible theme music is courtesy of Rosin Coven. Do you have something to tell us? Well, why don't you? Do you want to tell Daniel that he was right to have a cup of coffee? Call our voicemail line at 775-400-2941. That's 775-400-2941. And for more episodes, vintage photographs and video, contact info, and those amazing trip reports, visit us at neongutter.com. Now, piss off. Oh, you can cut that part.
Haiku number 12. We're all in the gutter, but some of us are looking up at the neon.
Saw a few interesting mustaches this trip.
Yes.